We have a Community Development Block Grant Week coming up, and the person in charge of these events and the CDBG program is Jessica Topolosky of the Department of Policy and Community Development. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, maybe you can tell us exactly what it is for the residents of our community.
Okay. CDBG is a federally funded grant that we receive from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. The City of Elizabeth is an entitlement community, and as such, we not only receive Community Development Block Grant funds, we receive Emergency Solution Grant funds and home funds.
And those dollars come directly from the federal government to us?
Correct. And then we disperse them to nonprofit 501c3 agencies.
And the purpose of CDBG funding is to do what you...
Well, basically, the purpose is to revitalize neighborhoods, expand affordable housing and economic opportunities, improve community facilities and services, but all of this must principally benefit low to moderate income residents. And that's
the federal government's rules.
Correct.
This program was started in the 1970s under the Richard Nixon administration.
Yeah, this is the year 2012 marks really the 38th year. It was signed into law by Congress on August 22nd in 1974.
And it's constantly under attack by the federal government. I remember the federal government used to give us well over $3 million in community development block grants. And this year, what are we at?
We're up to a little over 1.8 million, yeah, in regular community development block grant funds. Home funds were almost cut by 50%. We did get an increase of emergency solutions, which is basically to serve the homeless or people who are in tremendous need of housing, etc. That was up to 164,000, but we've really been hemorrhaging with the funding, yes.
So when the Republican Tea Party talks about cuts, the cuts affect areas like us. It doesn't affect the areas where they represent.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, some of the agencies, as I stated before, I cannot give a grant to a resident. It has to go to an agency that is a nonprofit agency, and then the residents take advantage of that. But a lot of our agencies, for example, Central Jersey Legal Services has had to cut their staff by 3 or 4 people because of the cuts in funding, not just from us, but statewide and other federal funding.
Now, why do we qualify for the funds? Is it based on our population or demographics, or?
It's based on both, and it was determined by Washington that we are an entitlement community. So we are entitled to a certain amount of funds. We get a letter from Secretary Sean Donovan, and it states exactly how much we will be getting, and then to apply for this funding we have to submit a consolidated plan.
And that consolidated plan is due in
May 15th. It's due May 15th, yes.
And you're usually working on that all the time, right, Jessica? That's constant.
Yeah, that's a major. It's a book about 200 pages with the attachments, etc. And basically, it will tell you what the priorities are in funding for housing, for economic development, for youth, seniors, and the types of services that we fund.
And Jessica, who decides how the funding is dispersed in the City of Elizabeth?
We have a Community Development Advisory Committee, and by the way, these people are very much savvy as to what's going on in the neighborhoods in the City of Elizabeth.
There are people that I appoint from different areas of the whole city.
Correct. And they're all volunteers, and I have to tell you, you've been doing a great job, because they really, really do. They take stacks of applications like this, literally, and they read them thoroughly, and they make a decision on who gets funded and how much.
And then that document goes to the City Council, correct?
Correct. Yes, yes, and
City
they have
Council
to approve it.
Has to approve it after they're making the recommendation. Correct. And usually the recommendations from the advisory committee goes right to City Council.
Pretty much, and then once council approves it, then we send it to the HUD office in Newark, and then they send it to Washington, and once Washington approves it, we get release of funds.
And Jessica, how are these funds used? I mean, you talked about some of the nonprofits, but what do the nonprofits use it for?
Well, there are lots of different ways we use the funding, and I'm just going to go down a whole list. Acquiring real property, reconstructing or rehabilitating housing and other property, building public facilities and improvements that's to be used by the public, help people prepare for and obtain employment through education and job training, economic development activities, providing public services for youth, seniors, and disabled, carrying out crime reduction initiatives, assisting low-income home buyers directly. We also use funding to enforce local building codes, and of course that avoids a lot of slum and blight in the city once we stay on top of it. And then another portion goes for administrating the funds, which is about 20%.
The Department of Community Development is responsible for the funding applications. They come to you for review in when is that, January and February usually?
Well, we put it out in the that a public hearing will take place in January, and the applications are usually due the third Friday of February. They're due then, yes.
And are there any other eligible activities, or did you cover them all in that?
No, that pretty much covers them. That pretty much covers them. However, in this city, we have tried very hard to focus on economic development, because economic development definitely helps with job creation, and that is a major focus for us here in the city.
And we've received funding for, what, 38 years, you said?
This, excuse me, yes, we've received funding since the inception of the program for 37 years, and this will be our 38th year, yes.
And Jessica, tell us about some of the major benefits Elizabeth has done with the CDBG funds.
The major benefit for CDBG funding is the development of affordable housing. Really, that is a tremendous need all over, not just this city, but the state and nationwide. Some of the projects that are extremely visible for everyone to see was the development of the redevelopment, I should say, of the Union County Trust building right here on Broad Street, as well as the old First Historic Trust. And recently, the Trinitas Core building was, excuse me, built on Elizabeth Avenue. And also we tried to do different pockets of the city. So in the Elizabethport area, you have the Elizabethport Presbyterian Center, which is a new senior housing facility. And that was developed in conjunction with the Housing Authority of the City of Elizabeth. And then you have a tremendous amount of brand new day affordable housing projects in the Port area. And really, these projects and this funding really does revitalize our neighborhoods, and in my opinion, we've experienced a renaissance as a result of this funding.
So the focus has been on housing and jobs for CDBG funding.
Pretty much, yes. And also there are services for the disabled, daycare services, services for homeless, meaning case management and rapid rehousing.
And we work with the Coalition to Shelter the Homeless on that as well, right?
Yes, yes, and other agencies, the American Red Cross, the YWCA, the YMCA, Urban League. There are several agencies that we fund for that, yes.
Jessica, we talked about the cuts in funding and how they drastically affect us, but the National Community Development Week we spoke about, what is this year's theme going to be?
Basically, the theme will be Our City, Our Future.
And when is it going to take place?
It's going to be on Tuesday, the Tuesday right after Easter, which is Tuesday, April 10th at 10:30 a.m. It's going to be at the Trinitas Core building at 1164 Elizabeth Avenue in Elizabeth, and everyone is invited to attend.
Now, the Core building was built, as you said earlier, with some CDBG money because of the educational component that the Core building is doing for the city. So celebrating Community Development Week there is probably a good idea.
Yes, yes. And Dr. Horan, Gary S. Horan, the CEO of Trinitas Regional Center, he'll welcome all the attendees into the core building and discuss the type of medical training that take place in that facility. Dr. Margaret McManaman, president of Union County College, will discuss job placement at the Retail Skills Center that takes place at the Jersey Gardens Mall. The Executive Director of Community Access, Mr. Sidney Blanchard, will discuss job training of the developmentally disabled that we fund at his facility. And Jonathan Phillips of Groundworks Elizabeth will discuss how he involves students in developing pocket parks all over the city.
Jessica, now what kind of partners, or who are the partners in the organizations that participate in this as well?
Well, usually all of the funded agencies are invited. A lot of City Hall staff, local residents, local, state, and federal office holders, as well as the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Diane Johnson will come. Ms. Eubing will come, who deals directly with community development funding for the City of Elizabeth. And it really is an opportunity for anyone who attends to see exactly what's going on in the community and how these funds truly do help the city.
Jessica, where can residents call to find more information?
If you would like to attend, and we welcome you very much to come, I would like you to call Victoria Rivera of my staff, obviously area code 908-820-4016. Victoria will make sure you get a seat. And of course, again, everyone is invited to participate.
Jessica, I want to thank you for all the efforts that you do in Community Development Block
you.
Grant, and I look forward to seeing you that day as well. It's always a day that's close to how Elizabeth can help others in our community. And it's, you know, I meet with the mayors around the country, and CDBG is a program that we all focus on trying to maintain the staffing level and the finance level in order to avoid cuts back home. But these folks in Congress consistently attack what was started by a Republican president, but the Republicans in Congress go after this program in a big way every time.
And it's very unfortunate because the program really works. And you can see it in the buildings, in the people we help. There are definitely measurable results that we have as a result of the funding.
Well, thank you for taking this on the time of the show, and I hope you enjoy your Easter celebration.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
For Jessica Topolosky, please stay with us after these messages. We'll be joined by Stanley Neron on the Office on Youth to talk about upcoming youth activities. Welcome back to our city, where I'm pleased to be joined in the second half by Stanley Neron, who is a coordinator of youth activities in the City of Elizabeth and does a great job in making sure young people have opportunities not only after school but moving forward in life. Stanley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Now, Stanley, one of the things we always talk about every year, we prepare for Dare Day Jamboree.
Yes, we do.
And Dare Day Jamboree, first of all, tell us what Dare is all about.
Drug abuse resistance education.
You blew it last year, and this year you remembered it, right?
Got to get it right.
Yeah.
You know, because we're so used to saying DARE all the time. So, you know, kind of forget what the acronym stands for. But drug abuse resistance education.
And it's a program all year where the Elizabeth Police teach, is it fifth graders or
fifth graders? They focus on drug abuse resistance education with the fifth graders. And, you know, myself and yourself have attended a number of the graduations and listened to the testimony of the kids that, you know, attend these workshops and the classes that the DARE officers teach. And I think they've been doing a great job building a strong relationship and actually introducing them to, you know, what they need to be responsible for and look out for in the future.
Now, we also teach them about nonviolence, and we also teach them, we're working in, at some point, an anti-gang program in there as well.
We're working an anti-gang resistance program as well into the DARE program, and we're going to launch that this year through our DARE Day week of events, you know, before we launch our DARE Day Jamboree. Every year we do a big DARE Day Jamboree. And, you know, we teach them a lot, you know, from drugs to violence to peer pressure to bullying. You know, we try to cover an array of topics that affect our youth.
Tell us about DARE Day Jamboree.
Dare Day Jamboree is a great program that we do annually. It's a big jamboree, big expo for the youth. And this year we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to add a different twist to it to really entertain the families and take it to another level. Usually we have a petting zoo, the U.S. Army, the Air Force, state troopers. They all come out and do all types of expos. And we usually have clowns and face painters. But this year we've added another element by adding the Elizabeth Idol as a part of the Dare Day Jamboree. And what we're going to do...
And what are you doing in the Elizabeth Idol part?
Judging.
Judging.
I won't be singing.
I thought you were performing or singing or something.
No, I won't be singing.
Alonzo going to do a comedy routine?
Who knows? We might be able to put in a request.
Yeah, we got to get a hamburger out there.
And get him to be the host. Get him to be the idol host.
He's slacking off enough. He's got to show us a little more about how he, you know.
But we're going to be going to different...
people come into his office and they ask for the comedian now. They don't even ask for Alonzo.
They don't even ask for...
No, they just ask for the comedian. The guy that's on BET they ask for.
Hamburger, huh? But we're going to be taking it on tour and traveling throughout the city, doing the auditions, just like they do on American Idol. But Elizabeth Idol is going to actually be going to School 23. We'll be at the Elmore Racket Club. We'll be at Bayway Community Center. We'll also be at Peterstown, the Steve Sampson Center, and the Elizabeth Port community room on 2nd Street, the 2nd Street Center downtown. And auditioning kids.
The first winner of Elizabeth Idol, Juliana Vieira, has she's got the lead in the play at her school next week in Scotch Plains.
Wow. So you see, we've discovered somebody.
I know, you did.
So
she's got some talent, this young lady.
We're doing something good. In addition to that, not only are we going to do the Idol, but we're also going to mix it with the drug abuse resistance education and really doing workshops for parents and the youth. So not only do they get a chance to come experience the fun side of it, but also they get something of substance, because it's an issue that we definitely have to address.
One of the other issues you created, Stanley, which the people in City Hall get a real kick out of, is the prom night.
Yes.
Where the high schoolers come up and we have a little.
You get a kick out of that, right?
I do. I can't believe that these kids get all this decked out for this prom. I mean, we used to rent a simple tux and a simple gown for the women, and now it's
Rip the Runway.
Oh, it is.
And they get busy.
Oh, they do.
And that's coming up May 17th.
One young lady brought her matching poodles to the prom, and
I remember
they were dressed up with the bows. And
yeah.
I was like, wow, this is like a big deal. So tell it. We didn't do it last year, but we're doing it again this year, right?
We're doing it again this year. We're gonna do it bigger and better. We had to work out some kinks, and we've gotten all that in order now, and we're ready to launch it again this year, and it'll take place May 17th. And basically, it's a way to celebrate our seniors, celebrate our students here in the city. Funny thing is, as soon as we started I think we did start 4 years ago. A lot of the other cities started duplicating it, and I remember other cities coming and saying, we want to see what you're doing. We heard about this prom showcase. You're doing a red carpet. So we set up a red carpet, and we do it Hollywood for our students and make them feel good.
Yeah, but the cars pull around the front of City Hall, and they get out with the red carpet, and the doors open up. There's a butler or a valet, for lack of a better word, opens the door. The couple gets out, or the woman gets out, or whatever.
And it's showtime.
It is.
It's showtime. It's
impressive.
Yeah. The paparazzi is there. The crowd is there.
Everybody's taking pictures. There's music from a DJ.
Oh, yeah,
it's been fun in the past, and it's gathered in an attraction from the folks who work in City Hall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And thanks to you,
Oh, no, it's a great thing,
You make it happen, right on the steps.
Well, it was your idea. All I did was implement it, but it was you were the creative
said, yes,
one.
Let's do it.
You were the creative one. That was...
And I have to give credit to the students. The students at the time, along with our coordinator, Ms. Tyresha Adair, who's running the Building Future Leaders program. The students got together and they wanted to do something special, and they wanted to, just really have a time, because traditionally what happens during the prom is, people go to their neighborhoods and they go on their block, and everybody wants to see what they have on. It's a big day for so many people, because, some of the kids you've never seen dressed up. And it's usually a big day in the family. So
they never saw themselves dressed up.
Yeah, they never saw themselves dressed up. So we made it a big day for the city.
Right.
So it's a really fun event. And who knows? We may have some surprises this year, guest host. Or, maybe we could pull out Hamburger, come out and host.
Yeah, we should get Hamburger to do something. So he used to be somebody, by the way. That's what he tells us now. So. Jessica Topolosky was on the first part of the show.
Yes.
And one of the things she was talking about was jobs and community development block grant money. Now, you've worked real closely with United Airlines and the Retail Skills Center for the young people in the Building Future Leaders program, so they have an opportunity for a job for the summer. And maybe you can tell us about your efforts with United Airlines and the Retail Skills Center.
Once again, we had another successful job expo for the students ages 18 through 24. And basically what we do is we prep our high school students and we create a relationship with them as they go into college. Because, you know, people always ask me, what ages do you serve? I say I service from 6 through 25. Because even after they go to college, they stay in touch with us for internships and programs. And one of the programs is the Retail Skills United Airlines partnership that hires college students and students 18 to 25, 18 to 24 that is, to work at United Airlines during the summer. It used to be Continental, but now it's United Airlines. And what they do a summer assist program. You have youth that travel alone in the summer that need assistance getting from one terminal to another or from the terminal to baggage claim. And basically that's what the job entails. It really gets them introduced to the corporate world of United Airlines, the airport, working in the airport and picking that as a career option, and also teaches them responsibility. It's a great paying job. It starts at $9.50 an hour. Great opportunity for students from June 1st to September 1st. And, you know, the numbers keep rising. You know, usually the program started originally in Newark and did very well in Newark. And then,
we got it here, yeah.
And we got it here. And now we've been able to hire 40 plus since
40
then.
plus.
I think now the total that we've hired over the past couple of years is like 105 or something of that nature.
Before we wrap up the show, SAT, you're working with some young people on free SAT classes to make sure they have the opportunity to train.
Yes, we have free SAT classes preparing students to get ready to go to college and preparing them for the actual SAT test.
Where can they get information on the
They can
free
get
SAT?
information about the SAT at our office at 908-820-4051 at the Office of Youth Services. It's a free program at the Elizabeth Public Library, which is at a value of $1,500 per class. We offer it for free.
And we got young people taking advantage of it?
Totally.
Good. Stanley, I want to thank you for taking the time on the show this
Thank
evening.
you.
I appreciate your efforts in young people as well. Look forward to seeing you at these events.
Okay, look forward to seeing you.
This will be the last show for me until June 5th. As many of you know, I've announced this week for my re-election candidacy, and based on the rules of the FCC and politics, I will take myself off of this show for the next 2 months. Alonzo Jones, who has co-hosted the show in the past, will host the show over the next 2 months. I look forward to meeting many of you at your doors during this campaign and talking about how we can make the city of Elizabeth better and grow and prosper. So we'll see you in 2 months. For Alonzo Jones, I hope he does a great job. I know he will. He has in the past. For Stanley Neron and Jessica Topolosky, this week's guest, I'm Chris Bolwage, and we'll see you again on Our City.